Hello, friends, and welcome to the InvestIQ podcast. In today's episode, we're going to approach the topic of investing from a slightly unconventional angle. Instead of jumping straight into why you should invest and why you should start early, I want to first walk you through some important reasons why you should not invest, at least not yet. That's right. There are real scenarios where investing might do you more harm than good. And if you're in one of those situations, putting your money into the market could actually push you backward, not forward. I've prepared this episode carefully to help you identify those scenarios, and more importantly, how to fix them so you can invest with confidence and clarity later on. Reason 1: you're still carrying bad debt. If you still have high-interest debt, like credit cards, auto loans, or consumer loans, that's a red flag. Even the most reasonable bad debt, say a $5,000 bank loan at 20% annual interest, can silently eat away at your finances. Many people think, maybe I'll invest this $5,000 instead, make a return, and use it to pay off the debt later. Sounds smart? Not really. On average, good stock market returns hover around 10 to 15% per year. After adjusting for inflation, typically 3 to 5%, your real return is closer to 7 to 10%. So if you earn 10%, $500, but owe 20% interest, $1,000, you're losing $500 per year. Your wealth is moving backwards. But what about Tesla? Or Bitcoin? Yes, we've all seen the charts and heard the stories of people turning $5,000 into $50,000. But that's not reality for 99% of investors. To pull that off, you need to 1. Pick the right stock. 2. Buy it at the right time. 3. Sell it at the right time. That's like hitting a triple bullseye. Possible? Sure. Probable? Not really. Even legendary investors say timing the market perfectly is next to impossible. So what should you do instead? If you're in debt, the best investment you can make right now is paying it off. Clear it out, regain peace of mind, and then you'll be ready to invest. Not just financially, but mentally. Because nothing beats the feeling of waking up without owing anyone a dime. No stress from creditors. No anxiety when the phone rings. Just freedom. Don't let debt sabotage your journey. Start by cleaning up your balance sheet. I've linked related episodes on debt elimination strategies. Go check them out if you're in that stage. Once your financial foundation is solid, the journey to financial freedom truly begins. Once you've managed to clear your debts, the next priority is this: your income needs to consistently exceed your basic living expenses. Why? Because if you're still earning less than what it takes to cover your minimum needs, you're still going backward, even if you're debt-free. In these situations, investing should not be your focus just yet. Instead, your energy should go into two things: increasing your income and cutting your expenses. Let's start with cutting costs. The first step is to track every dollar you spend. I've discussed this in detail in previous episodes of this Financial Freedom series. Once you consistently monitor your spending, you'll develop a clear picture of where your money is going. From there, you can start identifying essential versus non-essential expenses. Gradually trimming unnecessary spending is crucial, not just to save money, but to build awareness and control over your financial life. There's a famous saying, it's not about how much you make, but how much you keep. And the good news? Saving more isn't complicated. If you follow the steps I've laid out in this series, you'll see that reducing spending is often easier than you think. Now, on to the harder part, increasing your income. This takes more effort, no shortcuts. You need to create multiple income streams for yourself. There's no secret formula here, only commitment and hustle. Let me share a real example. One of my former assistants, who recently reached financial freedom, worked multiple jobs to get there. He had a full-time job, but also worked as a freelancer on the side. On weekends, he picked up extra shifts as a bartender. In his spare time, he even took photos and sold them on stock photo websites. These are just a few ways to build extra income. Your mission? Minimize unnecessary expenses and maximize your earning potential. Because if you're still living paycheck to paycheck, Jumping into investing is like trying to sprint before you've learned to walk. The outcome is usually painful. Only when your total monthly income surpasses your basic expenses can you begin building true financial stability. From there, you'll be able to start a solid emergency fund, and eventually investment funds. And only then can your investments become long-term, sustainable, and low-risk tools on your path to financial freedom. Let's now move to the next essential concept before you begin investing: building an emergency fund. I've talked about emergency funds in detail back in episode 4 of the Journey to Financial Freedom series. But here's a quick recap for those of you who are new. In simple terms, an emergency fund is money set aside for unplanned, urgent life events, the kind you can't predict. Think of it as your financial parachute. It's what saves you when life suddenly knocks you off balance. Imagine this: one day, your company shuts down, and you lose your job overnight. No warning, no severance, no paycheck next month. Or worse, you're hospitalized, unable to work, and simultaneously facing huge medical bills. In moments like these, your emergency fund is what keeps the lights on and food on the table, without having to go into debt or liquidate your investments. Now, how much should you have? Most personal finance experts recommend saving at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. Personally, I suggest aiming for 6 months or more. In my case, I've built an emergency fund large enough to cover a full year of expenses. Why? Because life is unpredictable, and peace of mind is priceless. Now let's clear up a common confusion: the difference between an emergency fund and a sinking fund. Your emergency fund covers unexpected life disruptions, medical emergencies, job loss, car accidents, etc. Your sinking fund is for planned expenses, like buying a new laptop in 6 months, replacing your car in a year, or remodeling your home in 2. Since sinking funds are planned, you can calculate the needed amount and timeline, and save toward them gradually. Now, here's a question I get all the time. Should I invest my emergency fund to avoid losing value to inflation? It's a valid question. But here's the truth: the purpose of an emergency fund is not to grow your money, it's to protect it. When emergencies strike, the last thing you want is to be forced to sell off your long-term investments, especially during a market downturn. Selling early often means locking in a loss, what's known in finance as realizing a paper loss into a real loss. This is especially dangerous if you're into active investing, where volatility is high. Even in passive investing, the principle is the same: hold long-term, avoid panic selling. That's why your emergency fund should stay untouched and accessible, not exposed to market risk. Some people also ask, can I replace my emergency fund with life insurance? Short answer: no. Life insurance only covers specific events, like death, disability, or hospitalization. It won't help if you lose your job, your car breaks down, or your business shuts down overnight. That's why having cash-based emergency funds is still the safest and most flexible option. 2 key qualities of a good emergency fund. 1. Immediate accessibility. You must be able to use the funds instantly, without selling assets or waiting weeks. 2. Predictable value. You should always know exactly how much it's worth. This is why I recommend keeping your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account or short-term savings product. Avoid real estate or high-volatility assets like crypto for this purpose. They're liquid and unpredictable in value. To give you an example, my emergency fund sits in a savings account with a modest interest rate, just enough to slightly offset inflation. For my sinking fund, however, I use low-volatility ETFs that are more resilient and still fairly liquid, since those expenses are planned ahead. So remember, your emergency fund is not an investment, it's an insurance against chaos. It protects your financial stability and preserves your long-term investment plan by giving you time and space when life gets messy. And just like clearing bad debt, building an emergency fund gives you something even more powerful than financial security. It gives you peace of mind. That's a kind of wealth no stock or ETF can buy. In summary, in this episode, we've broken that foundation down into 3 important pillars. 1. Pay off bad debt. High-interest debt, like credit cards or personal loans, can silently destroy your financial momentum. Investing while you're still in debt is like trying to fill a leaky bucket. You're working hard, but you're not getting anywhere. 2. Earn more than you spend. If your income isn't enough to cover your basic needs, investing won't save you. You need to focus on tracking your expenses, reducing unnecessary spending, and building multiple income streams. Remember, cash flow is king. 3. Build your emergency fund. Before you invest $1, make sure you've got 3 to 6 months, or more, of living expenses tucked away in a safe, liquid account. This fund isn't meant to grow, it's meant to protect. It's your buffer between life's surprises and your long-term goals. Investing without these essentials is risky. It's like building a house on sand. At InvestIQ, we believe smart investing starts with solid groundwork. Get out of debt, manage your money with intention, and create a financial cushion. Only then can you invest confidently and sustainably on your path to financial freedom.